Greetings and salutations. My name is Eric Badreg, and I am the project manager of Haphazard Projects. This is a playtest of Chronicles of the Orb Shaedeam song. Now, I am the composer, and I am the sage known as Sagarathis. This will be my telling of a story of a new cast. Let's start with Tao.
So, my name is Eric Smith. I'm playing Tao, the Sculler.
Drellfax.
So my name is Mattias Johan Norglan. I'm playing a Fiani warrior called Drellfax.
And I'm Nestor. I will be playing our lovely magician Corwin of the Adrael race.
Okay. Now then, to start off this story, it is cold and it is raining in the middle of fall in the downtown segment of the city-state Saint Baylen's. Everyone has been summoned to the Adventurers Guild, and they are inducted into the guild and asked to go on a quest. The quest is to a small mining town known as Traviel. For quite some time now, the mining town has not been able to ship out any of the things that are normally expected. No one has heard or seen anything about the town or anyone from the town. This is to be mostly a exploratory mission. Come back with information. The important part of that is coming back. Now,
So, Tao is observing everyone around him and kind of looking a little bit suspiciously at the Fiani, knowing the history between the two races.
as you look about the interior of the Adventurers Guild, there are many peoples, many races. He is indeed the only Fiani, the large winged creatures with the face of tigers. The bar is currently serving a late lunch. Pungent smells of meat and cheese and various drinks, from wine to local beers, are all present and free for all members of the Adventurers Guild. Drellfax.
So Drellfax notices this creature that he hates more than others, staring at him, and he tries to look more, intimidating and hopefully scare him off with his stare.
Currently, Drellfax sits alone at a table. Everyone is trying to obviously maintain some measure of distance from this outsider. Normally, the Fiani do not leave their home in the Eldar forest. Something is different about this one. Corwin.
Corwin's probably sitting at the bar, enjoying a drink or two, not really giving anybody any attention, just knowing that he has some work coming to him.
After the adventurers have gotten their fill with food and drink, a very short humanoid enters from the towers above. She stands maybe 4.5 units tall. She is a Taitok, which is essentially a bipedal humanoid frog. They look very comical. You would expect to see them sitting on a lily pad. But these are shamanistic folk who have a very strong hold on the forces of magic. She walks in front of the group as they are sitting around and gestures for them to all come to Drelfax's table. Once everyone has pulled up chairs, she introduces herself as Lyssa of Saint Baylen's. Says, welcome. We have not seen you here before. You are new members to this guild, yes? Have you eaten? Have you had your fill of drink? Or are you simply ready to work?
Yes, quite. You have a fantastic spread here.
We do have one of the finest cooks in all the Empire, specifically chosen here because of his heritage that he can trace back to the days of Baylen Nadoran, the one who slew the last dragon, barehanded, right where this guild sits. Sorry for the history lesson. It's just I've been adopted by the Nadoran family. And, of course, I had to study before they would give me entrance. She kind of trails off a little bit. Drelfax.
So Drelfax kind of says under his breath that I'm just here to best, or to get my swordsmanship to a higher level, nothing more, nothing less.
Lyssa looks at Drelfax and says, hopefully there will be no need for weapons on this mission. But it is good to see that you will be there just in case. Tal.
Tal has walked closer to the table in which Drelfax sits, and he listens very intently to Lyssa, and is kind of absorbed by the brief history lesson. And as she apologizes for it, he says, it's always nice to hear lessons from someone who's experienced.
She nods her head and says, I have actually been a member of this guild for more than 20 years. I've had plenty of experience, but probably nothing like what you might encounter. We don't know what you will encounter. So for this, since you are now members of this guild, we can take you to the armory. And we will outfit you as best we can for just in case. and her frog lips smile, a very big toothless smile, and she says, "Please follow me." She walks off towards where she first entered, going downstairs towards the basement. And you could swear with every step that she makes, it's almost like a little hop. You follow her down into the basement, and there is a wide area set aside for sparring. The sparring takes place in many forms, not just hand-to-hand combat, but actually the practice of magic. People are throwing spells at each other and at targets, trying to master their craft before they go out on their own missions. Laissa says, "Please, this way." She opens a small door that leads into a two-level tower. The bottom floor, armor, tools of the trade, various types of kits that adventurers use. The top, weapons. You could smell the oil from where you stand. These have been taken very good care of. Corwin.
I'd say that Corwin's definitely looking over all the sets of armor, seeing what looks good for him, what fits his build, and probably takes like a set of like some light sort of leather armor just in case, and probably finds like a short sword to arm himself with.
Corwin looks around the room and finds exactly what he needed. The suit is to his frame, and the short sword is selected. Drellfax.
Grelfax walks up to the weapons and armors, and he looks at them carefully with a critical eye, trying to choose out the best ones can, and he will settle for a long sword and some decent armor, nothing too something light but yet protective.
Drellfax selects a very nice long sword made by the House of Nadoran, the house that follows the long sword within the 12 armies of the Empire. He manages to find a very light suit of chain, mostly just a chain shirt, and a few pieces of chain that attach to the wrist and then up to the shirt. Very loose, and it even has room for his wings. Thou.
Tao looks upon the armor and arms with a sort of clueless and disinterested look in his eye. But at the same time, he approaches nonetheless, and he kind of follows suit with what Corwin would take.
Tal finds a very nice suit of studded leather armor, fitting his frame, his awkward metallic frame, very well. He also finds a very nice long sword, very thin, very light. Perfect for that spot-on attack. Once everyone is properly outfitted with the arms and armor, Laissa walks you around a small corner, and you can see kits and backpacks. She suggests that you each take a medium rucksack, which she will begin filling with food, sources of light, and whatever kits you want to take. Now, bridge. A kit is basically just what it sounds like, a kit set out for a specific skill use, such as a first aid kit, a climbing kit, a weapons kit, an armor kit, scholar's kit even. The kits only have supplies in there specific for what their skills are supposed to be. So she allows you to select 2 kits. Now,
Tal looks carefully among the kits and deftly scoops up the scholar's kit without hesitation. And after some short contemplation, he takes up the first aid kit.
Drellfax.
Trellfax will also first pick up a first med kit, and then he looks around for any kit that would help him polish and keep his armor and weapons in top shape.
Drellfax manages to find a weapon kit designed for hafted weapons and bladed weapons, and it has the supplies to reattach light leather armor, patching it, making it better suited and fitting for him. Corwin seems to be engaged at looking over everything that can be selected. Laissa says, "Oh, my manners." And she hands over 3 small bags of coin. Thou.
Tao takes over one of the bags of coin and thanks her sincerely. I look forward to earning this, he says.
Within his bag, he finds 15 gold and 27 silver. Drellfax.
Trellfax takes one of the little coin bags and doesn't really seem to thank her. Instead, just looks into the bag and see what there is.
Drellfax looks into the bag and finds 17 gold and 32 silver. Corwin has been looking around, and he's being offered 2 kits of his choice.
Corwin's definitely inspecting those kits. Which one seems to be more his up his alleyway, should I say?
Corwin finds spell kits that have a blank book of spells, some small items that might be spell components for some, might be worthless for others. Also within would be ink and a well. And when he's looking around, he sees that these kits are for just about everything. Any skill he might have for things that he might attempt.
He will definitely take one of the kits.
Corwin is also offered a small bag. Within it is 18 gold. As well as some silver. 34 pieces of silver.
Okay.
Leissa looks around both at the room and the people in front of her and says, are there any questions? Do you know where you're going? Do you need anything else that I might not have thought of?
Tao is going to approach her and looks down to her and asks, would you happen to have a map that we might use?
Oh, a map. She goes to a place just under the winding staircase. She has boxes filled with all sorts of manner of things. She pulls out a map, checks it, and says, here you are. This will lead you from the gates of Saint Baylen directly to the town of Traviel. There is a little bit of climbing involved, but you should also be able to find the trail, which is pretty easy to follow, except for when it's raining like this. So do be careful. Do be careful. Drellfax.
Drellfax just stands and listens what they talk about, and he stays silent, not having any questions that come to his mind, nor that he would ask her.
Corwin seems lost in thought, but at the word, he is ready to go. Downtown is roughly this is the composer trying to do math. Roughly 3/4 of a Voss Unis away from the gates. And there are two gates, Talthal and Erethal. Both of them are made of mithril and reflect beautifully along the river Talus, which literally means silver. These are twin gates that they remain open year-round, and they hold steam-lifted bridges so that ships can go up and down the deep waters of the river Talus. Taking Erethal would be the closest way out. For once you leave the city gates, there's no easy way to cross the river Talus. Now,
So Tao observes his surroundings, admiring the structures in front of him, the mithril, the gates, the steam-powered bridges, and he seems to kind of be absorbed by by the beauty of it all, kind of just walking lost in thought while observing it.
Thou notices several flying forms around the towers of Arendelle, fleeting back and forth. You can almost hear them chittering through the steadily falling rain. They are known as Shugilla, and they are demons that cast aside their demonic power to live as mortals among those along Shaedeam's back. They are incredibly agile, very fast, and very skilled flyers, perfect for performing those high altitude improvements as they are needed to the bridges and the towers. Drellfax.
Fax looks at these creatures and kind of amusingly puffs at their ability that they call flight, kind of proudly presenting his wings to everybody around him. But at the same time, whenever anybody looks at him or at his wings, he gives them this kind of I'm better than you look.
Which is very appropriate for the Fiani, where the bulk of them are xenophobes to the greatest nth of a degree. Drellfax flexes his wings, an impressive wingspan of over 20 units in length. And he muses, knowing from stories that he has heard throughout the Eldar forest, that the Shugilla are no match for the Fiani when it comes to feats of flight. Corwin.
He sort of looks at this display of in a sort of like he couldn't care less. Sort of moves along and sort of doesn't pay the Fiani 2 cents given their current circumstances.
Now, the three are heading out of the city proper into the nearby towns that have petitioned to be included within the city's wide-standing walls that surround. Passing through these takes about an hour before you're finally on the Old King's Highway, a long and winding road that leads not only to other city-states, small villages and farms, but to the capital of the Empire of Shanastera, Logathon. Looking at the map shows that they are roughly 20 Voss units away from the edge of the Grey Peak Mountains. It is along one of these edges that the town of Traviel sits upon. Not very far up the mountain, but enough to provide good purchase for the miners of the town. Thou?
As they're walking down the Old King's Highway, Thau's face is practically buried within the map, observing every little detail he can and referencing the surroundings as well. Even though it isn't necessary, he just seems extremely absorbed in it. And he points out to the mountains towards Traviel and says, "That's our destination," to his companions. but he says it more towards Corwin rather than towards the Fiani.
Drillfax?
Driafax, when he hears Tao say it, kind of nudges Tao with his shoulder, kind of, in a shoving, bullying way, and grunts, "I know that. You don't need to tell me," and walks on.
Thou?
Though not being the strongest guy ever, but being fairly heavy, he holds his ground decently. He pays little heed to it, only taking very slight offense and under his breath says, "Yeah, sure, you know everything, don't you?"
Corwin?
Corwin looks on at this interesting display of size measuring and decides to just back off from it, knowing that he doesn't want to piss off the Fiani nor the Thon, and sort of keeps to himself, not wanting to pry. Sort of replies, "Well, shouldn't take too long for us to complete this job."
Our adventurers are on the continent of Tagoth Shadar, which is the home to Shanasthera. Taking distances as far as here, all the way to the tips of the Dagger Life Isles here. This small edge of the continent is the homeland to the Fiani. The table scraps that have been left from the Empire's constant need of wood, paper, and anything else they decide to take. The rain continues on. Seems to get a little bit lighter. Just a little bit. The winds pick up. Before they know it, it seems that a storm has set upon them. With the vast displays of lightning, they can still see the Grey Spire Mountains. And they can also begin to make out lights that should be where the village is located. But they are very dim and still very distant. They have covered roughly half the distance following along the Old King's Highway, but now must journey off-road to lead up to the trail and to the mountains. Sal.
As they venture off the highway, Tao kind of says towards not to, but towards the Fiani. "I think that you should lead the way. You're the one who wants to prove himself, huh?"
Real facts.
Trollfax looks at Tao and like with his head held high, he takes the first steps towards the more off-trail roads leading the way. And quite confidently, I should add.
Corwin.
Corwin takes it aback, not wanting to deal with this slow tension towards conflict that was brewing between these two, and it's just sort of making sure none of his books or components are wet, but just following along as best he can, trying not to get involved too much.
Corwin checks his gear and finds everything in place, as the bags are sealed with some kind of wax to where it repels the rainwater. After some more time passes, the rain intensifies almost beyond what could be expected on a day like this. The cold seems to sweep down from the mountains and engulf the group. You feel as if a force is issuing you forward while at the same time challenging you to continue along the journey. Tao.
Tao takes heavy steps against the force, using his weight to support his stride, and doesn't seem to pay much heed to it. The sound of the rain beating against his metal exoskeleton is kind of blends in his ears with the whirring and clicking of the gears surrounding his body.
Ralphax.
Against this storm, Tralfax, even though he might feel, or he does feel like he would, want to take it a little slower or maybe rest a little, but his proudness and the fact that he's in front of one of his race's worst enemies, he decides to keep his head high and charge forward, taking longer strides than Tao.
Corwin.
Corwin tries to keep up, adjusting his cloak not to be like a giant sail in the wind, knowing that he stands a good 7 units, and sort of takes heavy steps and tries to keep up with them while not trying to take flight with wind sweeping underneath into his cloaks.
The group continues for almost another 5 vast units. The mountains slowly crawling towards them like some giant beast. The light within the town is becoming more obvious despite the heavy rains. And it seems as if there are simply many torches along the mountainside, lit, offering a way to shelter from the storm. They continue on for about another hour before they hear something echoing in the wind. None of them have ever heard this sound before. They're unsure what to do, but the sound gets closer. How?
Though having heard this sound before, he immediately is on his toes, and he, while hating to, he kind of moves behind Draelfax.
Drillfax.
Trailfax, seeing Tao move behind him, he smiles smugly to himself and draws his long sword, telling, turning to Tao and saying, who's turning to Tao is behind his back and saying to him with a smile, "You wuss."
Corwin.
Sorry. Corwin takes sort of a defensive stance behind the two, reaches into the sleeves of his cloak and just stands waiting just in case.
Bridge. Now then, we did not do this ahead of time. We're going to go ahead and take care of this now so that everybody can get their stat block ready for combat. Now, it's going to be very simple, very quick. And if you'll look on the page that has the combat stats written, there are 2 blocks, identical. I do not have a character sheet open right now. I'm going to have to open that now. 1 second.
I was going to ask which page.
I'm looking for it right now for you guys. That is the wrong character sheet. I should have thrown that one away. What you're looking for is on page 2 at the very top.
Got it.
The first 2 stats you're going to look at are reaction rate and encounter die. For encounter die, everyone is going to have a D10. Now then, for reaction rate, you're going to take your maximum physique die value and your maximum psyche die value. Just the maximums.
And add them together.
Add them together for your reaction rate.
Alright, that's 16.
16 is average for humans. All humans will have a score of 16.
Maybe an 18.
Elves are always a little bit faster. I say that winking because elf is a bad word in this game.
I have a +1 to my encounter die.
You have a +1?
Yeah.
That means you have 2 D10.
2 D10.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, encounter die was just...
1 D10.
Yes, okay.
Elves. Winking.
Oh, so elf is a bad word? Okay, I will use it.
What about for Tau? Do you already have that?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I was just asking if you already had your reaction rate figured.
Yeah, I guess it should be 16 unless I'm missing something.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, 16 is average for humans. Actually, always 16 for humans, unless they're adventurers, in which case it might go up.
Or if you get a +2.
No, you get an extra encounter die. Yeah, actually, pardon me.
Receive a +2 to reaction rate.
Yeah, your reaction rate is going to be higher because the maximum die values for you are higher.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay. Take another glance at this. And while we wait, I should have played this a lot earlier, right when we got started. This is the theme for Chronicles of the Orb, Shaedeam song. Next, where it says base defense. Remind me what you're wearing. Thou.
I am wearing studded leather armor.
Your base defense. Okay. So you start with 2, but then take half of your maximum physique and half of your maximum psyche.
Alright, so that should come out to a total of 10 then. Do I put that beneath the reaction rate one or the encounter dice one?
Whichever one you want to use. There are
Okay.
2 blocks so that you can describe in one block what you're wearing, and in the other block your second preference to what you would wear.
Okay.
Okay. And Drelfax, what kind of armor were you wearing?
I had a light chain suit, light suit of chain.
You're wearing chain sheets, is what it's called.
Yes. Yeah.
Take 1/2 of your physique die, 1/2 of your psyche die, and add 4 to it.
3. If physique is 10, then it should be 5, right? If it's 1/2.
For physique, yes, it should be 5.
3, 5, 8. That's 8 plus 4. That's 11 then.
No, that's 12.
Oh yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. Corwin,
It's
Leather armor.
physique die half, psyche die half.
All right. So that's 4 and 4, which is 8.
Plus 1 for your armor. Leather
Alright.
armor.
And I get a +3 because of physical prowess.
Very good.
8 plus 1 plus 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Next is damage reduction. Damage reduction. Actually, no, we'll do damage resistance. I think that's meant to be the same thing. Probably a typo. So we're going to go ahead and work on that. Damage reduction, if I can get the page open. Tau. Actually, all of you. For damage reduction, write your health trait improvement levels. So if you have a health of D3, that would be a 1. If you have a D4, that would be 2. Up to a 6 if you have a D12.
I'm sorry, could you remind me where I put this?
Where it says damage reduction. It's a typo. It's supposed to be it's supposed to say it's supposed to say something else, but it says damage resistance. It's supposed to be damage reduction.
Okay.
Right underneath weapon.
I hope everybody could hear the soundtrack theme song. If not, that will be posted on my Patreon page when I post this video. Okay, so the base score is your health improvement level. You're going to add in your armor bonus, which is what I told you as your armor bonus for base defense. It's the same thing. The leather armor will give 1. The studded leather will give 2. The chain sheets will give 4. Does everybody have that figured?
Got it.
Oh, no, I don't. Where did the 4 go?
I can't hear you.
Where did the 4 go?
You're adding the 4 to your health trait improvement levels.
You mean the damage resistance, right?
This is damage reduction, yes.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
Next, we're going to do full defense, where it says FDB. That's where you're going to put this, full defense bonus. It's going to be equal to your base defense plus your reflex trait improvement levels plus your perception trait improvement levels.
Just to check if I'm doing this right, I have the racial ability of strong as steel, which gives me FDB of D6.
Right? So we're gonna roll a d6, and that is going to be your permanent bonus.
Okay.
I'm checking to see how powerful your armor is. I rolled a 3.
All right. So I should be rolling for that then, yeah?
I just rolled for you.
Okay.
All right. So that's reflex plus what else?
Reflex improvement levels, perception improvement levels, and you're adding that to your base defense.
12, 2. All right. So that's a 15 for me.
Okay? Don't worry about DRB. It's damage resistance bonus.
Oh,
Usually
no,
only comes into play with magic.
Okay, I'm really confused about the first FDB. So it's base defense, right?
You take your base defense,
Yes.
add in your reflex improvement levels. What's your reflex?
What was reaction rate improvement levels?
No, reaction rate doesn't have improvement levels.
Oh, no. What improvement? Sorry, just
What is the reflex trait written on your character sheet?
reflex rate. It's D4. So,
Okay. So that's 4. What about your perception?
D6.
So it is your base defense plus 5.
Base defense plus 5, so it's
That's what your full defense is.
Alright, so that's 17. Then. Okay.
Okay. Here's the way it works. When you try and attack someone, it goes off of their base defense unless they are making a defensive action. If they're making a defensive action, then it goes off of their full defense. It's that simple. Your reaction rate is pretty much your initiative score, but you get to roll encounter dice to improve upon that. The highest goes first. Don't worry about where it says HD. That's for hostility dice.
Which I have a D12 in.
What?
A day I'll get a D12 and hostility dice.
No, they don't.
Might have been a different one then. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry about stress dice for armor or stress dice for weapon. Your combat block is done. Now we're going to figure out how much damage you can take. Each of you take your size level, which is 2, plus your vigor, plus the maximum physique die value, plus health improvement levels. Total that up, that's how many wounds per level. That's how many wound levels you have per vitality level. How much damage you can take before things get harder for you to do.
So it was size level?
Size level plus vigor.
Yes, that's 8. Plus
Plus your physique die value.
that's 6.
6.
Okay.
What's your physique die?
Oh, 6. Oh. Then it should be what?
What is your physique die?
6 is D6.
D6.
Yes.
So plus 1.
Okay.
And what's your health?
Health is
Health improvement level.
D3.
So that's another plus 1. Add that all together.
2.
And you're going to put that number where it says wound levels.
Where it says what?
Wound levels.
Oh, wound levels. Okay.
Right. You're going to put it in every block, all the way down to D12. When you get to 3D6, you're going to double it. Now, did everybody follow me, or do we need to go over it again? Don't feel bad if we have to go over it again.
Where am I going to find vigor?
What's that?
Where am I going to find vigor?
Front page, bottom right.
Bottom right? Oh, right. 10 plus maximum physique die. So that'd be 8, right? 10 plus 8, 18.
What about your health improvement levels?
I figured those in already.
Okay, so put 18 in every block, except for the bottom one where it says 3d6. And that one, you double it.
Okay.
How's Tao looking?
Oh, sorry about that. My other mute was on. Yeah, I've already got that all done. It's 16 and 32.
All right. Now then, I need to know your resilience scores. One of you at a time. Let's start with Tao.
I have a resilience of 2.
Okay, where it says vitality levels, number of. Okay?
Yep.
You have 2 healthy and 2 injured. Relfax.
My resilience number is 1.
You have a resilience of 1.
Yep.
So under vitality levels, you will have 2 healthy and 1 of everything else.
Okay.
Corwin.
I have got 1 in my resilience.
You as well have 2 healthy and then 1 in everything else. So has everybody got that?
Yep.
All right. One last detail. Utility kits. Same page. Write down what kits you have, and all of your kits are going to be level 3.
Okay.
All right. How about we get on with the game?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go from here.
I need for all of you to make a perception task roll. This is going to be very easy. You take your psyche die, and then you take the die that you have for perception. Add in your athletic skill, just the skill, and roll. Please use roll 20. Corwin, why did you roll a d20?
Well, that just happened when I was setting some things up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to use the 20, so
It's okay. We can walk you through it. It's very simple.
okay. I guess I copy the formula that is here, right? To roll the dice.
Nestor, do you want to go ahead and roll? Sorry. Corwin needs to roll.
Yeah, just trying to figure out how to do multiple dice and roll 20.
Just roll one at a time, dude.
Okay.
Easiest way to do it.
You can just do a plus also, D8 plus D whatever.
Oh, you can just do that in there as well?
Yeah.
Huh. Good to know. That's psyche with perception
Yes.
and skill levels in athletics.
Yes.
Okay.
So what was Tao's total?
My total was 5.
That's with your athletic skill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Take it you didn't have any improvement dice in perception or...
No. I just have a D3 in perception and a D8 in psyche. A 0 in athletics.
And then 86. So a 5.
Eric, you might need to help Matt out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll head over and help him.
Thank you. I'll give you 1 XP for that. Oh, wow. That's what I'm talking about.
The pride as a, piano.
That is a successful roll right there. That's what that is. So, Drellfax. About 30 units away, there was just a small hill, very small, but now it seems like it's scuttling your way. You hear that same cry as before. And you see hundreds of little lamplights appear, flickering red and yellow. And then there's a crack of lightning. And you can see this creature for what it is. At first glimpse, it's a giant spider, but all of its legs are coming out of its mouth. With all these eyes, you can imagine that it can see anywhere, see anything. And it has this bloated mass on the back of it that it drags behind. We're going to roll for reaction rate now. So you're going to take your reaction rate, you're going to roll your D10 and add that to it. Or in In Corwin's case, you're going to roll 2d10 and add to it.
So we roll a d10 and add our reaction rates.
Correct. Tal, what did you get?
I got a 20.
Very good. Corwin.
There we go, 38. Which is, I think, that's the max I can get.
Probably. Drellfax.
Yeah, I'm having troubles with the keyboard. Different keyboard than I'm used to.
Hold on, I'll help him with that.
I'll give you another XP for that. Corwin will be going first. The perception checks would have really come into play if you guys did not already have your weapons drawn. Because if the weapons weren't already drawn, Drellfax would have been the only one that could act in the first combat round.
Yeah.
Welcome to playing in NAL. They are very fast, they are very strong. $17. Must have rolled low. Wait for everybody to get back. Now that we are all back, Corwin, you have your short sword drawn, and this terrible beast is upon you.
Corwin starts putting distance between himself and the beast, seeing as how he sees that he'd be more useful at a distance for the time being. Puts his short sword away and pulls out a small bag that he has ready.
You can still cast.
He's gonna pull some iron shavings out, rub them in his palms, and then make a gesture. And just from the tip of his fingers draws a lightning bolt.
All of you see this bolt of lightning leap from Corwin's finger. And Corwin, we forgot something when we were designing spells. Not a big deal right now. But for now, go ahead and spend your points for that spell.
Okay.
And we'll go back and fix your spells a little bit later. I need you to roll Psyche plus Willpower plus your spell casting.
Okay.
That's going to give you your base damage. And then it's what we call a class 5 hit. which means
Alright.
you multiply all that damage by 5, and that's how much damage you do.
Alright, so Psyche plus willpower. And spellcasting, I will find that
Skills.
heals, right.
Do you have any improvement levels on the skill?
Not at the moment.
No. No, I remember now. The answer is no.
Okay. So just Psyche plus willpower times 5.
No, Psyche plus willpower plus
Mhm.
spellcasting. Spellcasting and specialization will give you a +3.
Okay. So D8 plus a D4 plus 3. And times that by 5.
Yes.
$22.
22. Your lightning bolt dances along the back of this creature, which screeches again.
After that sort of gesture, Corwin sort of arms in his sleeves and keeps at a distance, having the bag in that sleeve, getting ready in case something else happens.
It scuttles forward, its legs coming out of its mouth, this huge bloated mass being dragged behind it. It launches itself at Drellfax. Legs first. Now, is Drellfax in a full defensive position? Or am I just going off of his base defense? Full defense, not attack.
What was the last thing you said? Sorry, I
I
didn't
said
hear.
if you're in full defensive posture, you cannot act. All you can do is defend.
I wouldn't say he was in full defense.
Okay? That's your action for your turn.
He was more trying to pose in front of Dao, trying to look awesome.
Does an 18 beat your full defense?
What?
Does the roll of an 18 better your full defensive bonus?
Full defense bonus 17, so yes, it is better.
Okay. So these legs stab at you. Doing minimal damage, you will only take 3 points of damage.
Okay, where do I put it down?
Second page of the character sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Subtract it from the wound levels for healthy.
So that goes from healthy to how much was the damage?
3 points. It was a very
So
weak hit. It just barely glanced you.
It's injured. No.
There's no way you're injured.
Oh,
How many points do you
Really?
have in your healthy wound level?
healthy. Oh, healthy. Oh, 10. Okay. That goes to 7, right?
Yes.
Okay. Got
Okay.
it.
Last but not least, Tao.
So, Uncharacteristically, he lunges towards this mass of legs, and he would like to take a strike at it with his long sword.
Base defense is 22.
All right.
So you're going to roll physique, agility. Do you have any combat specializations for this?
Nope.
Oh, wow. So you're only going to be able to roll your physique and your agility. You probably will not hit.
Blaze of glory. That does not hit. 5.
Unfortunate. Now, at this point in time, since we're doing dice rolls now, I need to introduce the insight trait. All of you picked an insight trait that best exemplifies your character concept. Whenever you roll a maximum on that attribute trait, you let me know. If you roll minimum on that insight trait, let me know. Because what happens is dice rolls are modified by certainty, how sure of yourself you are, and doubt. How much you doubt yourself. Those values can go up and down, but the higher your certainty and lower your doubt, the higher your skill checks can be. Now then, since we've been through one round of combat, I want to add 1 point of survival for all of you. Survival is in the upper third of the first page. Right below the attribute traits.
I have a question about I think it was insight trait, right?
Yes.
I don't have a number in there.
No, it's supposed
Maybe I
to
missed.
It's supposed to be a trait name.
It's supposed to be in the race.
No, this is a trait that you pick that best exemplifies your character concept. Since you are a warrior, it will probably be physique.
Oh.
One of your physique traits.
Okay, yeah,
Pick
I
one
got it
of
then.
4.
I believe he chose agility originally.
Okay, that works.
Oh, yeah.
Just, this is on you to remember. Because I am going to start calling for certainty and doubt. And you have to remind yourself of what your certainty and doubt is and your insight trait. Because if you maximize insight, you gain certainty. If you minimize it, you gain doubt.
So if I roll maximum on agility, then I get like...
You get certainty points, which I will give you.
Okay.
Some abilities will cost certainty points or have a minimum of doubt that you can have or maximum amount of doubt you can have before using an ability.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go back up to the top of the reactions. Corwin.
He's gonna try and hit it with another lightning bolt. So he rubs the shavings into his palms and makes another gesture, and one will spring forth.
Make your die roll.
Okay. 18.
It will take half damage. 18 times 5 is...
That was 18 total.
Right. Oh, you already multiplied the 5?
Yeah.
So it takes 9 more points. No. Has damage reduction. The creature makes another turn. And it slashes forward with its legs. And it is going to slash out at, again, Drellfax. Does a 19 beat Drellfax's defense?
Indeed it does.
Does. The creature is large enough to do a class 4 attack. Which means Drellfax takes a mighty 24 points of damage. Remember, you guys have damage resistance. Subtract that from whatever damage you take.
$24 damage. Alright. Got it.
Did you subtract your damage resistance?
No. Oh, damage resistance is 5, so that's 19 then.
So you first subtract points from healthy. Once you
Yes.
reach 0 in healthy, you go to injured, and you're at a
Yes.
penalty. Once you hit
Yes.
0 in that, it goes to maimed, and so on and so forth. What vitality level are you at?
I'm at maimed.
You are at maimed?
Well, it did 24 damage.
Okay. Drellfax is beginning to look injured from the slashes from this creature. Dal.
Tao, going against his nature towards people of Drellfax's kind, he rushes towards him and grabs him, tries to pull him back, and begins shuffling through his first aid kit.
You want to go ahead and make your first aid skill check.
Alright, how do I do that?
Psyche plus
Psych.
reason plus the kit level.
Alright.
You have to roll over an 8.
Alright, 9.
Very good. Roll. What's your reason?
My reason is 4.
A D4? Roll that D4 plus 3.
Seven.
That is how many wound points he recovers from your immediate first aid attentions.
I recovered 7 points, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm injured now. Well, I'm still maimed, but
But the point is, you're not hurting as much as you were. Trailfax, it is your action.
All right. So Trailfax will gonna grunt, being helped by his worst enemy and being chewed by this monster, and he will quite, you could say, quite violently will slash at the monstrosity that has injured him with his longsword.
Okay? So you will need to roll physique, agility. Adding in your specialization will give you +3. At any focus levels you have for longsword strike.
Then it's D10 plus, what was it, agility? Yes?
Yes.
D10 plus D6
+3.
plus 3 plus D4. Okay.
You should be able to hit this guy really hard.
I should.
Remember, let me know if you maximize or minimize the agility die.
Will do.
I just recalled after you said that when doing my second roll, I maximized my reason die.
And that is your insight?
Yeah.
Then you will gain 0.3 certainty.
Right.
So I got 12. Let's see.
Your blow swings hard, but it manages to duck back and avoid being hit by. Does anyone have an initiative higher than 2?
That would be where?
First page.
Yes, I
Yes.
have initiative 3.
3.
Okay, for those of you that have initiative 3, you may make a third action in this combat realm. Corwin.
Seeing that his lightning bolts aren't doing very much, he's going to
No, you're wrong. Your lightning bolts are having an effect.
in that case, backtrack that, and he's going to continue firing these off.
Do
Again,
not
rubbing
forget
the
to
iron.
spend your Seom for casting these
Yes, I
spells.
am. I am counting that.
All right.
He continues rubbing these iron shavings into his palms and using them to cast it off like that.
Make your casting check.
Okay.
Oh, I found a very big mistake with these character sheets.
Mm-hmm.
The attribute traits all list at D3, where they should be 0 unless you change it. Wow. Okay.
All right. 45.
45?
Yes.
This
9
huge
times 5.
this huge blue bolt leaves Corwin's hand, and the face of this creature explodes into a very slimy, greenish, snot-looking blob that covers all three of you. You feel sick and even colder.
Corwin instinctively sort of lurches back, just like, ugh, in disgust. He was not expecting his bolt to do that much to it.
And Tao can't resist saying, this really jams my gears.
Trial
If Corwin
facts.
could facepalm right now, without putting more of this stuff onto him, he would.
The
Trial
combat.
facts roll.
Sorry, continue.
Oh, I was going to say that trial facts looks at the creature and says, "Huh. All it took was a little lightning bolt.
Those
Kill
weren't
it."
lightning bolts. Those were big.
Well, Trailfax doesn't really care about the elf. So,
Ooh. Good thing that was, hey, that was out of character. That was out of character, Corwin. Things calm down and give the three of you a chance to clean up, stow your gear, and continue heading towards the town of Traviel. The rain picks up even more, the wind howling out as if to call your names by turn. You've traveled about another 3 Voss units, and you're reaching the foothills of the mountain. As you glance up towards the supposed town of Traviel, now you see no lights. There are no signs of life from that mountain range, from that mining town. Thou,
Noticing that he can't see any lights there anymore, and that they are much closer to the range, he consults his map again, burying his face deep in it, and referencing the mountains above to make sure that they are going on the right path.
you want to make a skill check for this.
Would it be possible for Corwin to aid him in this?
Did Tao want to make a skill check for this?
Yes.
You would roll Psyche plus Reason plus your levels in the Scholastic skill.
That is a 12 total.
Very good. You look at the map very intently, and you realize you're not just on the ground. There is a muddy trail, obviously used with very many heavy wagons, up and down these hills that you are following right now. You are on an exact course for the mining town, which should be about another hour and a half walk. Corwin.
Never mind. I was just wondering if I could aid him in that check.
Normally you can, but he has to attempt it first.
Okay. I can still attempt though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Psyche plus reason.
Well, he succeeded on his map reading.
Mhm.
You can't succeed twice.
Okay, so never mind then.
It's all right. Trailfax.
I guess Tao told us that the town is like a town an hour away, right? Or
Did you?
So, Tao relays the message to Corwin that that we should follow this muddy path. You can see easily these tracks here, and he points them out, kind of keeping his back towards Drailfax the whole time.
Okay.
As he's receiving this information, Corwin's like, he's working with us. He can't always be doing this to the man. And sort of moves ahead, following the trail.
Bridge. I'm going to walk away for a minute. Bio break. If you need to take a break, now's a good time. Otherwise, you may speak in character.
So, after Corwin's comment, Tao turns to Corwin and he says he would do no better for me, and you know this.
But still, we are to be working together here. Without
Doesn't
all of us, we would have died.
doesn't mean we have to like each other.
Touche.
Halifax. Halifax kind of proudly looks up at them, like well, down at them, and it's like, I knew that this is the way where the town was. He posts almost proudly, taking all the, I guess, clothes, posing in the rain. Flexing his muscles.
The rain wash coming over the hills intensifies. You have a small, willing stream of fast-flowing water washing over your feet from the hills. Another crack of lightning explodes in the sky, and you look up, and you see this large, winged creature, reminiscent of the extinct dragons. But he is only there for that one flash. Once the light is gone, it seems gone. And the hills leading up to the mountains are still before you. Thou.
As soon as it comes and is gone, those left in awe and disbelief, staring at the sky, kind of frozen in the moment.
Drellfax.
Drellfax seems to be less looking at the creature and more of its wings, trying to, guess if it's could it be more impressive than his, or could they be more impressive than his?
Drellfax thinks back and realizes that there is a chain of floating islands above your very heads, known as the Reaches. It is within the Reaches that the race of the El Magi reside, and they are natural shape changers, and they do not like those that dwell on land. They often take such shapes to impose a threat upon those that are walking Shaedeam's back. Corwin.
Corwin's in both awe, disbelief, and a twinge of fear, knowing that such a beast could still be roaming these lands. And sort of makes note of that mentally and keeps treading forward, adjusting his cloak every so often as to not be a sail in the wind.
Corwin thinks back to the many years before, during the War of Wars, when the Edael helped, nay, began the systematic slaughter of all dragons. Thinking back to an ancestor who might have been involved. But still the hills approach you still. And as you walk, the mud gets deeper and deeper, and the water is flowing much faster. You must struggle to maintain balance or slide down the rocky hills. This will require a test. Physique plus reflex plus athletics and I don't think you have specializations or focus levels for this task, so that should be it.
Adele do have a specialization in balance.
Then you may add 3 to your check.
Okay.
Is that Tal's roll that I see?
Yes, I'm just checking through the racial skills to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Physique plus reflex plus the +3 with balance Anything else I'm missing? Or is that it?
That is it.
Okay.
Was it also athletics in that skill
Yes.
check? All right.
10.
Corwin appears very light on his feet, almost as if he is walking down the walking up the water as it flows, on the water's surface itself. Dow almost loses his footing, nothing but his superior weight holding him in place. Drelfax? With a mighty stretch of his wings, Drelfax stops himself in place. The mud no longer on his feet. He feels safe knowing that his wings can hold him aloft in pace with the rest of his group and not be bothered by such mundane tasks as gravity and water. Continuing up the side of the hills, you're reaching into the mountains now. Things become much more rocky and your footing becomes steady. You can see the exterior gates for the town of Traviel. They lay before you like opening arms, welcoming you into shelter and respite. Dow.
I walks in to the area. The sort of, if he breathed, it would be a sigh of relief. But it's merely the sounds of the gears whirring in his face. And as he approaches, looks around, kind of taking in all the sights, anything he could see, any of the people, etc.
Dow looks around. And if you all will open up your map on roll 20, you can see before you the outlines of the city itself. You may scroll freely. The blue mass on the left-hand side is a large well filled with crystalline water. The gray mass to the right is a rocky crag and a miner's cart that heads deep into the mine. You are entering the town from this direction. There are no lights, there are no fires, no candles, and no people walking around. Feel free to scroll through the map so you can tell me where you are and what you want us to do. Drelfax.
I don't see the map, actually.
Can everybody else see the map?
D20.
No, it's not appearing
Hey.
for me either.
Players tab when switching maps.
Thank you. Thank you for the gentle reminder. Now you should be able to see the map.
Yep.
And you can scroll to your right to see the far side of the town. There are exterior villages where people will journey into Traviel for the work. but there's no need to map those villages as the focus is on the actual town of Traviel. Drellfax.
Drellfax will start looking around, looking for any living souls, and he will wander his way to the well.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last of that.
Wander his way to the well.
As you're walking by, the first building you pass, it's on your left, it is the Tavern of Traviel. Shuttered closed from the storm. There are no sounds from within. You pass a house, an alleyway that leads to a tannery, which is not in use. The smell of the air is sweet and heavy and wet. Pass another building on your left, and it is an outfitter's called Outfitters Gear and Sundry. The large house to your right is obviously the mayor's house with his own private stables, which lay empty with the hay stinking from being wet from the weather. You pass the mine and finally turn and look into the well and its crystalline waters. Smell of pure water, clean and ready to be drinking. Corwin.
Corwin would be making his way into the town, looking for an inn of some kind, for us to find shelter and respite after this long journey.
You walk past Drellfax and continue on. And then at the edge of the village, here, you see a building marked as the one-way inn. Inn obviously being with two letters, two N's.
He'll instinctively just have a heavy knock on the door, seeing if anybody will answer.
The windows are closed and the doors are closed. However, from the interior, you can obviously smell fresh foods, fruit, wine, meats and cheeses, so aromatic they just pour through the wood itself. There's no mistaking it. Dow.
Dow takes no interest in water or the smells of food. Instead, he investigates the house with the stable, which would be the mayor's house.
Indeed. It is similar to the rest. The doors are closed, the windows are closed. There's no sound of movement at all. But this is a very large two-story building, befitting of the mayor and his status within the House Nadoran. From where you are standing, the door appears to be unlocked as it moves slightly with the horrendous wind.
Tao approaches the door and he gives it what for him would be a gentle knock, but would be quite a strong one for someone more fleshy.
You give the door a mighty knock, and the door simply swings open into a large smoky room filled with bookshelves. You see off to your right a small kitchenette, sinks and stoves and ovens ready to prepare food. Towards the back of the building, you see a workshop with all the tales of a metalsmith, including a bellows and a large chimney that sneaks out the back. Drellfax.
Trollfax, hearing Tao basically smashing down a door, he, goes and looks what he's up to. Maybe he hopes he sees him doing something dishonorable, or you could say something he could, well, rub under his nose.
Drellfax walks to the mayor's house, stopping momentarily. He smells fresh food and wine that would only be within his homelands. His stomach growling for the temper of all the weather. The food just seems to be emanating from the building. You're very hungry, and it promises your own native foods. Corwin.
Corwin will catch up to them, hearing the loud knocking of Tau, and just catch up to them to see what's actually going on over there.
The three of you stand on the exterior of the house with the front door wide open. Feel free to role play amongst yourselves as you stand on the exterior of the building.
Tao turns to Corwin, says, I don't like the feel of this. I haven't seen or heard anybody. And this door, this building, it looks far too fancy to be left open like that, especially with such a storm going on. And even the stables, the hay hasn't been tended to, the horses are gone. This place is abandoned, surely.
Bridge. There's no such thing as horses in this world.
Oh, geez, sorry.
It is simply because every fantasy game has horses. No one thinks beyond that. No one tries to be unique. So in my game, there are two types of mounts that are popular. The first being what is called a sadal. And these are large fish-like creatures that walk upon two legs with four forearms reaching, one pair longer than the other. These things sprint on all fours, and they can move quite fast in a sprint. And they're very loyal to their owners. The second type of mount is the Mahdi. And they are generally reserved for the larger races. They appear as an elephant without a tusk. And they are very temperamental. You must show them strength, or they will not serve you. This stable is set up for the Sadal. It looks as if he should have four of them in there, yet none are in the stable. Corwin.
Corwin, I agree. Yes, there seems to be a for lack of a better term, abandoned. Although it seems that some of the other buildings are in service, if at all, just shuttered for the storm. I might suggest that we have a look further in, see what's actually going on here.
Tao shakes his head, says, I don't like the feel of this. I don't want to walk in there.
Suddenly, Tao can smell something strange yet appealing wafting down the stairs from the second floor. It feels like a bed with its blankets enwrapping you, keeping you warm, cozy, and safe from the storm. Drellfax also smells this, but slightly different. It is the odor of the azalea trees, which they claim as their home. And it too seems wafting down the stairs from the second floor. Drellfax.
Chronicles looks at Tao and kind of says with, I guess you could say, with an unknowing voice, well, anybody would be scared of you if you went and smashed down their door, and proudly walks in to be ready, be greeted by food of his people and the nice beds.
It's not the food. The food was coming from the inn. But you can still smell that on the winds of the storm. But you smell the dank, musty, very strong smell, pleasant odor of the azalea trees welcoming you to the home and almost wishing that they would lead you upstairs. Tao.
Against Tao's better judgment, he starts to slowly edge into the place. Like to call a bridge if possible.
Bridge.
I'd like to ask about light sources in this game. And as in our rucksacks, we have food and light.
Yes.
And what kind of light source would this be?
You have what is known as fire spheres. Softball size. You unscrew it, and within the base is a fire that lights like a torch, like a very large candle against the wind. Nothing can damper this light except for the lid you put on top of it. It has the strength of 100 candles. Each of you have 3.
So Tao pulls one of these fire spheres from his rucksack after the first step and a half into the place, and he unscrews the top and holds it aloft, trying to get a better look into the place.
With the light blaring into the darkness, you can see a thin haze of smoke, as if someone were smoking a fine cigar within this reading room that dominates the first floor. It smells as if someone were still smoking it. and you can't quite get away from that odor. Something like berries and some other fruits that you can't quite place, but Drellfax seems to notice as fruits native to his homeland. The smell emanates into the small kitchen. The haze continues, and it even flows up the stairs
Like that.
as if to welcome you. Drellfax.
Rolfax follows the smell. Looking, any sign. Well, there's the smell of his homeland's goods. Maybe there's people like him here. Like real people, not these monsters.
Corwin, you have been standing at the doorway of this house, smelling a smoky haze of fruit all about this bottom floor, throughout the reading room and leading into the kitchenette, flowing up the stairs as if welcoming you. But for you, there's something slightly different. For you, it is the odor of fish, freshly caught from the river Talus. Corwin.
Okay. He sort of stands there taken aback for a moment, seeing as how his companions are all drawn in to this place. Instinctively, he goes into the kitchenette, though sensing something is wrong here.
When Corwin enters the kitchen, he sees a vast variety of saltwater fish taken from the river Talus. He sees the red snappleback. He sees the silver trout. And above all, he sees the golden azure, which is a fish with legs, amphibious, but still quite tasty. Thou.
Examining his companions, Tao takes another few steps into the place, still very wary, but also starting to give in a little bit to the alluring smell from, I believe it was upstairs.
Yes.
And he slowly trails off, venturing upstairs, the light going with him as well.
Drellfax.
Well, not seeing anybody downstairs, Strelfax decides to head upstairs, where the most of the homey smells, the comfy smells are coming from.
You follow Tao with his fire spear in hand, slowly heading upstairs. Corwin.
Corwin has his pouch of iron shavings on him. Seeing this magnificent spread of freshly caught fish, can't help but wonder who or what could have gotten this, especially with everything that is wrong with this hut.
This house of nobility, the banners of Nadoran stood proudly next to the door. Dow and Drelfax, as you both head up the stairs, one slightly trailing from behind the other, Tao, you can now smell freshly oiled parts. You can smell the ozone coming from freshly smithed parts. And that is the smell that is leading you forward from here. Drelfax can smell so much of the Azan trees, native from his homeland, and beckoning him upstairs to comfort and safety. And for Corwin, it takes everything he must fight back before he actually dives in and enjoys these succulent fish that his own people feed off of in the city-state of Aglarand. Now,
Joe makes his way now more steady and quickly towards the source of the smell. And as he's going, he can notice his companion following behind him, and wonders, why do you follow me?
Drelfax. Drelfax.
Yeah, Trailfax doesn't seem to really even notice Tao in front of him. He just rushes forward, kind of trying to shove him out of his way as he rushes.
Drelfax will try and push his way in front of Tao, finding it impossible to get past the superior weight that is the Thon, as they are made of pure metal, springs, mechanisms, yet alive. Pushing his 300 hex form up the stairs, he rounds into the attic, and at the far side, there is a bedroom. But on your immediate right side lay parts of precision and fine craftsmanship that could be used to upgrade your exterior, allowing you to become tougher, if not a little bit more heavy. Drelfax looks at the bed, and it seems to be completely made of the Azan trees. The frame is thick of it. Small bookshelves to either side of the bed also are made of the sacred wood of his people. Corwin.
As Corwin's eating, he's can't help but wonder how these were caught. Knowing that this village is up in the mountains, it would have taken days for this to get here.
Indeed, Corwin is right. It would take several days for any catch to be taken from the banks of the River Talus up to the village. Probably about 3 days. Yet the fish are fresh here as if just taken from the waters of the river. Tao,
Upon seeing the different parts, these finely crafted mechanisms, Tao rushes over, takes a knee, starts examining them, trying to find possibly any origin of craftsmanship or who could have possibly made these, especially in a place like this.
the materials are all marked with the house of Ophion, a strange, small race of people named this house. They are merchants, travelers, philosophers, but many Khazals are members of this house as well for their construction of metallic goods. The Khazal are always good at creating arms and armor, yet these seem very lightweight, not made of iron, but something else. Drellfax.
Rolfax will go up to the furniture and start to, try to make sure if it's really what it seems to be. Kind of sniffing it, touching it, trying to remember the feel of the trees.
It does remind Drellfax of the trees, the Azoan trees that are within the Eldar forest. However, these things are all dead, carved from trees, taken from your homeland, placed here for the comfort of a nobleman. Corwin.
Corwin tries to wrap his head around how all this is happening to us as we're seeing how we are being affected by these luxuries of fish.
There's really only one word that comes to Corwin's mind, and the word is magic. Though there's a point within the back of his mind that issues forth the word Rushin, which is the proper word for psychic power. It could be either of these things, but there's something too comfortable about his surroundings. And Corwin knows that these things are of Rushin origin, specifically of the dreaming. Now,
Tao takes up a few choice pieces of the mechanisms, daring to touch them, but not lifting them too high, just a few, just a small bit above where they rest, and examining them much closer, testing the weight, testing the toughness, the hardness, and comparing them to parts he might find on himself.
Tal goes over the materials that seem to be perfectly fitting for his own frame, as if someone were expecting him to come and take these precious gifts of this lightweight metal. Of course, it is of Khazaldish design, for it is stamped with the seal of House Ophion, still much lighter than steel. He is not quite sure what the material is, but is much more reliant than his current form. Drelfax.
Pearlfax, seeing that the trees of his homeland have been made into furniture to plan, you could say either out of sadness or out of just pure spite and anger, he draws his sword and decides to decides to smash one of the bookshelves.
Drelfax knows that his sword is not strong enough to cut the wood of the Ozaean trees, even in their death. They are strong, they are mighty, and it takes much more.
Well, he's still going to try.
Drelfax draws his sword,
Array.
swings heavily towards one of these small bookshelves, and makes but a crack in it as its sword blade bites into the dead wood. Corwin.
As Corwin is eating, he starts coming to the realization that this could all just be fake. Knowing that it could just be magic entirely. As Drelfax, I would imagine, makes that loud bang, he sort of just snaps to a realization and stops eating.
And as Corwin looks down, there is no more fish. No more of the apple snappleback. No more of the others that reminded him of home. There's nothing there, and his hunger still resides deep within his stomach. Now,
Knowing that what he holds in his hand doesn't belong to him, he places these items back down on the ground, kind of shakes his head, and starts to examine further around the place.
as Tao puts down the mighty metals, they could reach his form quite well as he stands and continues to look around into this bedroom. He glances back, and all of that fine metalwork is gone. The smell of fresh oil, the appearance of precision is gone with but a glance. Drelfax seems very angry that these woods have been used in this way. But when you look at him, he's swinging his sword at nothingness. There is no bed. There are no bookshelves. But it still seems to affect him greatly. Drelfax.
Drelfax will, being in this state of rage, he will just start thrashing around, try to break anything that he can in this household. Feeling, he's almost like yelling out that if he takes something that is ours, I will take something that is his.
With mighty swings from his sword, Drelfax just goes into a frenzy, swinging at things that are not there. Tal sees this, the sword just swinging, eager to bite into anything. Drelfax slashes at an imaginary bed many times. He crosses over to another bookshelf that is not there, slashing it into pieces. There seems no stopping him. Corwin.
Corwin heads up the stairs to check on his companions, seeing what state they're in currently.
As Corwin comes up the stairs, he sees the fawn, the metallic towel, standing there, almost as if he were a metal statue, watching Drelfax swing his mighty sword at things that aren't there. He's screaming, "If you take something from us, we will take something from you." And swinging at open air. Thou.
Sort of mesmerized by the sight of of his companion Drelfax, he after a few long moments, he finally shakes his head and notices Corwin coming up the stairs. Asks Corwin, what should we do? He seems to have gone mad. Maybe you think I may be going mad as well. Have you noticed anything strange about this place aside from lack of life?
I have noticed that there is something off about this house. I dare say magic. There might be a way for us to snap our companion here. Though he might not like it.
In what way would that be?
I might have something that could snap him out of it, if you would allow me to.
Well, you might as well try something. And Tao refocuses his attention on Drelfax and shouts out his racial name, Fiani. What are you doing? What are you swinging at?
Drelfax.
Drelfax looks at Dao and he doesn't really even seem to really, how to say, his eyes seem to be more vicious. His posture and like attitude seems to be more hostile as he yells to the monstrosity that it is none of your business. I'm here to destroy this whole town.
Corwin.
Corwin sit back that his companion is so engulfed in this, dare he say, illusion. Looks to Tao and is like, if you have no reservations, I could try and snap him out of it. He will not like it, though.
Tao responds after seeing the vicious look in the Fiani's eyes and says, at this point, I think anything will do better than what we're doing at the moment.
With that, Corwin agrees and makes a gesture with one of his hands. He knows the Fiani's not going to like this, but it should help him snap out of it. And from his hands, you see some fire develop, and he launches it at the Fiani's face.
Then you're Sion.
Yep. He's not going to like it. But at this point, anything will work.
Make your spellcasting check.
Psyche plus
Willpower.
perception. What?
Psyche
Will?
plus willpower.
Psyche
Plus your
willpower,
mystic skill.
which is 3.
Plus your specialization.
Okay.
Which is 3.
All right.
So roll your dice and add 6.
$11.
Drelfax flinches as a small firebolt crashes into his face. Not so much doing damage, but causing him to see things in new light. When the fire vanishes, Drelfax sees no bed, no bookshelves. Nothing seems to be made of the Azoan trees. Nothing. It's all native woods. Things that could be found on the hillsides leading up into this town. Drelfax.
Drelfax now being blasted into face with a fireball. And,
Bolt.
you know, wait,
Bolt.
a bolt. Bolt.
Not
yes.
a huge ball. Just a slight fire effect.
Yes. He's not really sure if he's more pissed off or has he calmed down. When he sees, when he looks around, seeing nothing is there, and seeing the trying to remember the name, Corwin stand there with his hand still raised. He looks at him and says, "What are you trying to pull here, elf?"
Now the elf term comes from the Dreven word, Elvian, which means the wicked. For the Dreven fought against the Edael all those years ago in the War of Wars, where the Edael assisted or sped up the destruction and the savagery that killed all of the dragons. The word is foremost in his mind, the gravest insult he could be given by someone who is not a Dreven. Corwin.
All you see Corvin do is sort of step back a moment, hearing the insult as he just helped him snap out of some weird magic. All you hear Corvin say is, "I help you, and you insult me. I'll keep that in mind next time you require aid." And he walks away, down the stairs and out of the building.
Now,
Tao is left wide-eyed when he hears the word uttered from the Fiani's mouth, and examines Corwin closely. He kind of just shakes his head disapprovingly at Drailfax, and follows swiftly behind Corwin.
Drellfax.
Drellfax doesn't really mind whatever these two creatures, lesser beings, say or motion. He just he touches his fur, his whiskers, trying to see if they're all right and okay.
They are singed, but they're fine. Dow and Corwin head downstairs, exiting the building. And you can start to hear a laughter. Elf! Metal Man! Come forth! Save this town if you can. And then silence. Dow.
Upon hearing this laughter, the moment that the first drip of laughter comes out, Tao is alert, pulling his sword out and holding the fire sphere aloft high in the air, and looking around, just trying to see anything, any kind of source where the sound might have come from.
Tao whips around, fire sphere, blazing in the wind and the rain, refusing to be doused. He looks around and sees that the cry could have come from any number of buildings, or it might have come from the depths of the mine, which is straight ahead of him. Corwin, when you exited the house, you heard this mighty laughter. Save this town if you can. I dare you to come forth. And then is suddenly silenced. And the echo of the rain is the only thing you can hear.
At this point, Corwin almost takes it as a challenge, having been insulted for helping someone. And then he sort of looks to his companion and is like, at this point, we might as well take him up on that challenge. He adjusts his cloak, his bag, and hurries off to the entrance of the mine, hoping that they'll follow.
Dow.
Tao rushes off after Corwin, grabbing him by the shoulder lightly, trying to stop him and say, "This is just a information gathering mission. We don't have to go any further than this, you know."
We could turn back. But what kind of ally will I be if I back down from a challenge?
Slight bridge. It's pronounced Edal.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just typed in the pronunciation in the chat.
Tao listens to Corwin's words and nods his head in understanding and replies, I can understand where you're coming from, and it's been a tough day for everybody. But let's remember Leisa's words that we should be coming back alive. And this doesn't sound like something we could come back alive from to me if I've ever heard of anything.
True. Then let us grab our companion, and head out back to town.
Drellfax.
So how much of this conversation did Trailfax hear?
None of it.
Oh, none of it?
None of it.
Not
He's
even
still
the
in the
laughter? Yeah, okay. So Trailfax wanders out and she's kind of still touching and checking his whiskers and fur. And he, walks out and sees two of them standing before the wine, and he sees that they have talked about something, but he doesn't really mind. He maybe
Bridge. Eric needs to take a break, walk away for a second. Let's use this opportunity as a bio break. Okay, we'll use this as a bio break. If you need to grab something to drink or snack on, now is the time. We have 1 hour before this event ends. Make sure you've got all your stuff, bio break, everything's taken care of, so that I can really inflict some really terrible, horrible things before you decide to leave.
Okay. Quick smoke.
What's the time over there right now?
It is right at 9 o'clock. We have 1 hour.
All right.
Something tells me it won't take that long.
Yeah. What was the last thing that happened when I had to step off?
Drelfax came outside and saw the two of you heading towards the mouth of the mine, but stopped and conversating.
All right.
While we're on this bridge, does anyone have any questions?
Other than the fact that I know that you're going to do some pretty horrible things.
It's less of a question, just a foresight.
Would it be possible for us to just walk away?
I don't
It's
think
always
that's gonna happen.
possible for you to just walk away. You got to forget. You got to remember here. This is a fantasy horror game. Walking away should always be an option.
Let's smash some skulls.
So,
Flat side of the sword.
back in game. Drelfax comes down the stairs, walking out of the house into the pouring rain. The winds, even harsher than before, bringing down cold drafts from the tops of the Grey Spire peaks. Dow and Corwin standing there, not far from the mouth of the cave, making debates on the actions they should follow through on. Dow.
So that was gonna still grabbing onto Corwin's shoulder. Kind of starts to walk backwards a little, pulling slightly on him as well to kind of nudge him away from the cave. And says, you know, this leaves me with a very bad feeling, and I would much prefer to make it back home alive. And we should definitely report what we've found.
But what have you found? Everyone thinks over it. The building's empty. Seeming illusions coming out of thin air and then disappearing, leaving you confused. You're not quite sure of what has caused this problem. But the edge is finally starting to reach you. And you don't know how much further you can go without falling. Corwin.
Corwin has some idea of what it might be, but it's only a hunch that can't be proven unless going further into the mine.
You can attempt a skill roll.
This would be...
What do you think it is?
It's that magic thing that Corwin had some idea it might be.
But you think it's magic?
Yeah, I think it's magic of some kind.
Okay. Give me a spellcasting check. You're going to use Psyche, Reason, Mystic skill levels, and then spellcasting.
Okay. $11.
You reach out with your senses, trying to feel what is right and what is wrong. And you realize with sudden certainty, this is not magic. This is not illusion. This is dreaming. The most potent form of Rushin powers known across Shaedeam's back. Someone is dreaming these things from your heart's desires, forcing you to see it and smell it, feel it, with every sense of your being. Your minds have been invaded and your hearts have been read. Something is dreaming against you. Now,
Also, Corwin will relay this information to his companion.
very good.
I'd like to call a bridge for a moment.
Bridge.
Possible. So I recall that I have the specialization in breaching and dreaming. I can't remember exactly the description that you gave me for each of these, how they work.
Reaching is forcing your mind upon your environment. Dreaming is using other people's memories and dreams and nightmares to affect the realm around you.
Okay.
Okay, because I had the specialization in reaching. I didn't know what that was.
It is a Rushin power. Rushin is the proper word for psychic power, of which there are two disciplines: dreaming and reaching.
And when when reaching when attempting to reach, do you have to have like a specific target in mind, or can you just force it on the environment in whole?
It's up to you.
The counteract kind of.
It's up to you.
All right.
The more you try and accomplish with reaching, the harder it will be. And if you fail, the drawbacks can hurt.
Okay. So
Now, mechanically speaking, there are 5 winds that an adept can reach for. The first one is the lesser wind. It's the easiest to grab a hold of and manipulate, but it's also the weakest. Then, after lesser, you have, trying to remember, give me a second. After lesser, it is minor. The minor wind is more solidified, more of a guarantee. But if you reach for it and miss it, it will hurt you. After the minor, there is the major. And with the major comes incredible power. The ability to manipulate more, further around you. But if you reach for it and miss, all the more pain comes to you. Then you have the high wind. The high wind is powerful amongst all things. Most reachers can do anything should they be able to touch that wind. Finally, there is the immortal wind, which only the strongest reachers dare stretch out for, because it can pull you straight into the dreaming itself if you fail. You decide upon what wind you want to draw upon, and that sets your basic difficulty, along with what you're actually trying to do. The range of your effect will affect the difficulty. The actual effect that you're reaching for can change the difficulty. The more people you try and manipulate will change the difficulty. But at the end of the day, it is up to you what you reach for.
So after listening to Corwin's words and his hypothesis, he listens to this carefully, with a slight gravely look on his face, and he attempts to reach for minor wind, attempting to force his will so as to, kind of reveal whatever might be there, if anything is there around them.
Very well. Make your skill check. Psyche plus awareness plus your mystic skill plus your specialization in reaching and any focus levels that you have for it.
So specialization gives +3. Was it? Okay.
Yes.
Let me quickly work this out. And if I recall from the current character sheets, that if it was default D3, then it should be a 0, actually.
Yes.
Okay. That is a 14 total.
Very good. You reach into the lesser wind, and suddenly the rain stops, only around you and your friends. You have about a 10-unit circle around you, where the wind and the rain do not touch you. You cannot hear the howling of the wind. You cannot feel the bitter cold. But in front of you, you see strange tracks glowing within your psychic perception. And they lead all over the town of Traviel. With but a glance, you can see these tracks. But they all double back and lead towards the mouth of that cave.
Tao relays what he sees to Corwin, and adds to it, "The more I know, the more I want to know now." And he kind of edges back towards the cave a little bit, just a few steps.
Corwin.
When Tao says that, Corwin sort of chuckles a bit in his head. The something he likes to call the scholar's curse. And if we can go in far enough to get a glimpse of what this is, but then double back and head back to the city, we could perhaps make it back in one piece.
Drellfax. You hear your companions speak of these things, and your understanding of the dreaming and reaching is much more than most people are aware. If in fact someone is dreaming these illusions into your mind, it is tantamount of rape to be taking such things from you and using them against you. Drellfax.
All Trollfax will mainly seeing Tao use reaching. He feels, and also the situation, the rain stopping him, like spelling everything, like half because out of spite and he wants to be better than him, and the other half because of curiosity. He will also attempt reaching on a major level.
So you're reaching for the major wind?
Yes. Calling or no?
So you're going to roll Psyche
Yes.
plus awareness
Yes.
plus your mystic skill plus any specialization or focus levels you have in reaching.
Mm-hmm. Psyche awareness. It was psyche awareness. What then?
Psyche, awareness, your mystic skill,
Yep.
your specialization in reaching, and any focus levels you have for reaching.
Okay. Now give me. Four. Yep. Oh, god damn it!
What did you roll?
A 12.
You reach and stretch as far as you can, but the winds evade your fingertips. The backlash of the winds are like a slap to the back of your head. And now you have a penalty against all mental actions that you take for the next 10 minutes.
Penalty, that is what?
I'll keep track of the penalty.
Okay.
Dow,
So, Tao continues to walk forward, and he holds the fire sphere in front of him, reaches into his rucksack and pulls out a second one. With the first one, takes it and kind of rolls it forward as far as he can with a strong push into the cave. And he unscrews the cap on the second one and holds it aloft now.
you roll one half of the fire sphere into the cave. It's dropping down at least a 20-degree angle. Deeper, deeper, deeper. And it finally comes to a rest at which you can barely make out is the T intersection, roughly carved into these sides of this mountainous treasure. Corwin,
Corwin sort of speaks up to Tal and is like, perhaps knowing that there's something here causing dreaming, we could just report back. and live to see another day. He sort of started stepping back.
Tao takes one last long glance into the cave, trying to squint his eyes and look and try to get as much detail as he can, and try to see any movement or anything in the cave. But after straining his eyes for a while, if he sees nothing, then he also continues to edge back a little, listening to the advice of his companion.
You see nothing as you glimpse within the cave. The flickering of the fire sphere is lighting up that T intersection, casting shadows upon things that you might otherwise see. But it is deep, and it is dark and oppressive. Drelfax.
Well, Trollfax, seeing these two lesser beings cowering out, he gives them both a really strong, reassuring, I guess you could call it a slap on the back, as you know, both of them, and says like, don't wuss out now. Let's go and see what's inside. Seeing what happens here is our mission after all.
Dao.
Upon being slapped on the back by the Fiani and watching him kind of listening to his words, and in the back of his mind, he's just like, damn you. And he looks over to Corwin and asks, well, what do you think? I think I need a second opinion on that one.
I think at this point, there's no trusting what we see down there. Knowing that they could just as easily manipulate what we see. It would be better just to report back and have the guild know that there's somebody that powerful residing here. And we would live to see another day. And not pull anything foolish. At this point, he inserts a slur against the Fiani.
Drelfax.
Well, Trelfax, not being, he does take offense, but, he tries to keep his head high, his, posture big and strong, and he maybe almost painfully laughs and says to the little man, the elf man, that fear not, for you are at
the 7 Eunice elf man.
Fear not, for you are at the presence of a great Fiani. I will get us through this.
Bridge.
Just curious, how tall are Fiani?
Upwards of 6 Eunice. Sometimes as tall as 7 Eunice.
So we're about the same height, so he cannot be calling me short.
No, you're not short. You're 7 Eunice something, aren't you?
Yeah, upwards of 7 Eunice.
But he is a small man, so in other ways.
But yeah, Corwin does say, if you wish to go in there, you will receive no aid from me. Inserting another slur.
Tao, being the voice of reason at the moment, grabs Corwin by the shoulder, and reflexively he almost tries to grab on on Drillfax by the shoulder, but right as his hand gets near, kind of pulls back and says, let's get back to the guild. We need to report what we found here. We have no idea what we can find inside that cave. And frankly, if its dreaming abilities are this strong, I don't think I want to find out what it is right now.
Drellfax.
To Tao, when Tao says that, Trailfax is like says kind of postfully, not almost like ignoring the fact that he couldn't really get anything when he reached. He says, these dreaming powers, they're nothing in front of my race's greatness.
Corwin.
At this point, Corwin reaches for the lesser wind to try and make the cave mouth completely sort of vanish to our eyes.
Reachers. Now, I could barely hear you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's just funny that all of you can reach.
He's going to try and make the cave mouth disappear to our eyes by reaching for the lesser wind. So we're not tempted to go further in.
Okay. You'll need to make your skill roll. This is Psyche, plus awareness, plus your mystic skill, plus your reaching specialization if you have it,
okay,
and any focus levels you may have. What?
10.
You reach and you grab a hold of something, and you grab it tight, and you pull it toward you, and you can slowly see the mouth of the cave close as if it were the maw of a giant beast. Pow! And Drellfax. You both need to make a roll. Psyche, willpower, your mystic skill. If you had the reaching specialization, and any focus levels you may have.
What specialization? Reaching?
Yes.
$14.
Wait and see what Drellfax gets.
$19.
What?
19.
Damn! The two of you look, and you see the mouth of the cave slowly close as if it were the maw of a giant beast, but then it snaps back open like a snake ready to strike. Thou.
Like to call a bridge for a moment?
Bridge.
Just wanted to know a little bit more about reaching and dreaming. Like, when somebody's using these abilities, would somebody be able to notice this? Like, would they be able to see some kind of tick or something like that? I understand it's a mental skill, but
first and foremost, you can attempt any action you can think of. But what matters is what you actually have on your character sheet. Now, you don't have Sense Rushin,
Okay.
but you can check against reaching, but it won't tell you anything about dreaming.
Okay.
Would you like to make that roll?
No, it was more for roleplay purposes. So.
Okay.
But on seeing this, the mouth of the cave like closing shut and then snapping back open, and Tao realizes that this is definitely not actually happening, but at the same time, he doesn't want to find out who's manipulating this, and he continues to edge back.
For Elfax.
Seeing this, Stralfax also, even though he doesn't show out, he understands the how serious this situation is and how powerful good this being or whoever it is controlling dreaming is. So he kind of looks at Tao backing off and makes this kind of mark that, well, if he insists on us going back guild, I guess I'd rather not stay here alone. Since you're being such a coward, I will defend you or something.
As Drelfax speaks to the Thawne, everyone can hear a dripping sound. And it gets louder. And it gets more persistent. You feel as if the ground were pulling you forward. And before you know it, you're all standing at the very lip of the cave. And you can hear the echoes from within. Corwin.
Corwin, hearing the echoes and all of this, he sort of says into the cave, if whoever you are is actually there, why don't you show your face instead of hiding in some mine?
Show my face. My face is shadow and death. Come forward. I dare you. And then silence. And you can hear nothing but water echo dripping throughout the mouth of the cave. The fire sphere is still standing there, showing light against the T intersection. But now that you're closer to the mouth of the cave, you can see that both of the routes from the intersection twist around, forward, deeper into the cave.
Corwin instinctively turns around, starts walking away.
Thou.
Exactly the same as what Tao does. He follows after, but at a much quicker pace, not daring to look back.
Drelfax.
When he heard the voice and when Drelfax heard the voice and the laughter and the cave almost like pulling them closer. He was ready to grab them both and fly out away, or at least attempt. But as soon as Tralfax heard the word "I dare you," he just stopped and and said to the others, "Can't go now. We have to go in."
Now,
Tao turns to Drailfax with what can only be described as rage in his eyes and just shouts at him, "You idiot, let's get the hell out of here," or whatever equivalent to hell there is.
the infinite hells,
Yeah.
because the sins of the world are infinite upon heaven.
Well, by the infinite hells, let's get out of here. Don't be fooled by this being's words. It's only trying to lure you in and kill you for sure. Did you not hear shadow and death?
Corwin,
You also hear Corwin pipe up as he's continuing to walk away, not even giving the Fiani a look in the eyes. If you wish to die, go ahead and do it. But I wish to see another day. If you would like, I can help you with that. If you wish.
Drellfax.
Tralfax kind of puffs his chest out proudly, spreading his wings a little bit, getting them, almost like stretching them, and says in a, a loud and proud voice that, unlike you, Tin Man and Elf Man, Fiani, we have honor. And will take up any challenge that is given to us. And he draws his sword and he walks into the cave.
Now,
Tao tries his best to ignore the Fiani, still continue to walk away, but guilt starts to cling onto his chest. It's a heavy guilt. And Tao says to Corwin, "I don't think I could live with myself if I let that idiot die this way." And he rushes off as quick as he could to grab onto the Fiani or tackle him. So,
well, which are you doing? Are you just grabbing him or are you
I'll
tackling him?
tackle him onto the ground before, if possible, before he gets to the mouth of the cave.
Okay, physique plus agility plus your combat skill. And that's going to be it because you don't have wrestling.
Yeah.
Both of us, or only?
Just a second. Just a second. This is just Al. He has to beat your defense.
Physique,
your base defense.
So physique, agility, and what was the last one?
Combat skill.
Combat skill, which is 0. Okay.
You have to beat his base defense.
This. Okay, 1.
Oh! You rolled a total of a 1?
Yep. Well, I didn't have any bonuses to it.
Well, you don't beat the one with a 12, like 12 with a 1. Yeah.
Hold on. Tau gains 0.3 doubt. This is because you rolled a 1.
Okay.
Otherwise, you would only get doubt from your insight trait. So, Drillfax, you turn around, and in a blur of motion, the fawn comes at you to try and tackle you. You spread your wings and sidestep, taking a few beats of the wing to get off the ground, and he eats nothing but mud all the way to the mouth of the cave. Corwin.
At this point, you call a man an elf once, he'll brush it off. Call a man an elf twice.
Oh, three times.
Oh. He's going to do something he's going to regret. Reaches in the sleeve and pulls out a pouch of iron shavings.
Oh my god, this is gonna fucking hurt.
Puts a little in his palm, rubs it in, and then gestures at the Fiani.
0.6 of your Siam. And then you have to make your casting check.
Okay.
It's going to be hard. His base defense is high.
I know. 8 times 5.
No. You're not rolling for damage yet.
Oh, yeah.
You're just rolling to make sure you hit.
That's still,
Psyche, willpower, your mystic skill, and then your specialization in spellcasting.
Okay. I put in the wrong number anyway. Because I lose 3. Wait. 6, yeah. Psyche, reason.
No,
skill.
psyche and willpower.
Yeah.
Then mystic skill, and then your specialization will give you +3.
Okay. 14.
Oh! You launch this bolt of energy and it lands right at the Fiani's feet as he beats his wings up and suddenly is 10 feet in the air. What?
I was aiming for the wing, but that'll work too.
He manages to completely evade the lightning bolt, but he can smell the ozone in the air. Drellfax.
Relfax. Well, otherwise he would be mad, but to him, this man trying to shoot him with his puny magic, and thus, God damn it, Relfax laughs. This time his laugh is, hearty. And he says, like from above, he says to the Corbin that first you
I didn't hear what you were saying.
You basically just said, "Is this the best you got?"
Oh. Now, you see this occurring and you're looking at it going, this could get very bad very quickly. You can still hear the water dripping from inside the cave. Occasionally you hear metal upon metal. Every now and then you'll hear a slight laugh, much lighter than the one that teased you in to begin with. This is more of a laughing that's echoing now. Now,
So, as Tao recovers from his attempt at tackling, he gets back up and, after seeing Corwin fail at striking him with magic, he comes from the mouth of the cave, trying to get away from it as quick as possible again, and comes in between the two of them, holding his hands out, towards both of them, palms facing them, and it says, like, "Stop. I don't know why we're doing this, if this is of our own dumb will, or if this is just the mechanization of whatever is here, but we need to get out of here right now."
come but a few steps forward, and you shall see what I am. And then it's the echoes within the cave, the water drops, the metal on metal, the slight little laughter. Come forward, come forward. See the many things we have to offer. Corwin.
At this point, he attempts a reach into the minor wind, trying to give Lufiani deafness and blindness.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, sorry. Composer face. You will need to roll psyche, awareness, mystic skill, +3 from your specialization with reaching.
Mm-hmm.
Roll it and tell me what you get.
Anything for... Okay, mystic skill, specialization, awareness, and psyche.
Correct.
Okay. 11.
Oh, fuck.
Is that a fail?
The Fiani must make a savings roll.
How do you make those?
It's going to be psyche plus willpower.
Alright, psyche plus willpower.
Plus your mystic skill.
Okay. And it is against reaching? Or what?
Oh, yeah, you will get your specialization for reaching.
Alright. Okay. 25.
20? How the hell did you get 25?
I rolled on a T10, I rolled a 10. And a D8, I rolled a 7. And on a D4, I rolled a 4. I think it should be.
Oh my god. You feel somebody reach out into the corner of your mind, trying to change your perceptions around you. Your mental defenses leap up and smack the attacker away. Corwin, the winds sweep back at you hard, and now you will have a penalty on all mental actions.
At this point, he's walking away.
You're just walking away?
Walking away.
Thou.
After after watching Corwin make his way away, he looks once more angrily at the Fiani, but this time walks over to him, with heavy fawn steps, just grabs him by the shoulder, starts to kind of drag him behind, not too forcefully, but just, try to edge him to come, not saying a single word, not looking him in the eye or anything.
Gonna have to make a roll. Your
Right.
wife.
Are you trying to push me, right?
He's trying to pull you.
I'm up in the air. I thought
What's that?
I was there.
Oh yeah, he's in the air.
Oh, okay,
He's
yeah.
like 10 units in the air.
Okay. In that case, I'll just walk after Corwin, not even looking back at Fiani. Is there actually a slur against Fiani that you have?
Not that I have
The worst
written
one is the
down.
one I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, I'll just kind of shout that back at him and say as well, why don't you die a pointless death up here alone then?
Last action. Drellfax.
As Drellfax sees his former companions now walk away, he kind of just mumbles to himself what is kind of what cowards they are, could selves of adventure.
And what are you doing?
And Voldrax enters into the cave alone, drawing his sword. You go into the cave and look what's up. We'll find out what's going on.
Corwin. Last action.
Walks away, muttering under his breath the worst slurs he can think of about a Fiani, saying how stupid they are, how inconsiderate, how absolutely just every possible insult he can possibly think of. And he's a well-educated man. He just keeps walking away.
Val. Last action.
So, out of spite, having had to deal with the Fiani the entire time, as the Fiani edges towards the cave, he's going to use some dreaming.
Oh shit.
And let's see, what do I need to roll for that? The dreaming that I intend for is basically for him to kind of see the kind of trees and all the wonders of his own homeland and everything in the distance in the cave.
Ooh. Ooh. You will roll Psyche. Awareness. Your mystic skill. +3 from your dreaming speciality. Roll it.
Should I counter roll it up?
Not yet.
And
10?
Yep.
Drellfax, if you decide to make a defense roll, you can.
I think I will.
Roll Psyche. Plus willpower. Plus your mystic skill. +3 from your dreaming. Or do you have dreaming?
You're muted.
Does Drellfax have dreaming?
Oh, under Mystic? No.
So he does not get that specialization bonus. It is simply Psyche plus willpower plus your Mystic skill.
Psyche plus willpower plus Psyche plus willpower plus Mystic skill, right?
Yes.
That was 1 moment.
What did you roll?
15.
You look deep into the cave, intent upon entering. And as you enter the very mouth of the cave, you see tree roots coming from the roof of the cave. You can smell the musky odor of the Azaean trees of your homeland. And you can smell them alive deep within these caves. And what does Drellfax do?
Of course, he enters into the cave.
And at 21:59, I am calling the game. The game is over. Now then, allow me to do the dramatic exit. I'll explain a few things, and then we'll go into after game and ask questions and things like that after I stop the broadcast. The two of you, Thal and Corwin, start walking. And as Drellfax enters the cave, the rain stops. The cold winds stop blowing. And the sun starts to come out from the early morning. As you travel down back to Saint Baylen's, the road is clear, except for the carcass of the terrible beast that you slew on your way up the mountains. You go back into the Adventurers Guild with your reports of powerful dreaming effects influencing the entire town. Laissa listens intently to every word you say, shakes her head slightly at the mention of Drellfax and his foolishness. She says, "Thank you both for going up there and finding this out. We have people that can go up there and take care of this. Of course, we'll try and look for Drellfax. Hopefully he'll turn up. But thank you for your service, and thank you for telling us what happened." Bridge. Sorry about that. Right back into it. She offers you both coin, stacking it up on the table in front of you. 10 gold for the both of you. She calls forth to the bar, "Crescent, bring these gentlemen anything they want. The new members, we're still welcoming them in, yes?" And heaps of food and drink and oil are served upon you as if you're heroes of the realm. As far as Drelfax goes, his story ended when he entered the cave alone. With this, the story of this cast is done. Only Tal and Corwin survived. No one found out what happened to Drelfax, but his sword was found without anything else around it. The end. With this, I am going to stop the broadcast. I want to thank everybody for watching. This has been a absolutely perfectly timed scenario of 4 hours. If you've been watching the video while we play, thank you very much. If you watch this after we play, thank you very much again. I will post this on the Haphazard Projects page for Chronicles of the Orb Shaedeam song. I will also be posting this on the Patreon page, hopefully to get you guys a little bit more interested in the game. Again, my name is Eric Padraig. I am the project manager of Haphazard Projects, and thank you for your time.